Hey, this is Allison. This is another card in my, I'm going to call it my Ocholoi card series. So this is a series of cards that I'm going to make to give as gifts when I go to Uganda this summer. So I'm working with MayMayMadeIt stamps, scraps, my Creative Memories mats and other scraps that I can find. And I remembered, I love this. It says Walk in Love, and there's a set of tennis shoes. So I'm probably going to do one set like that because I think it would be fun to stamp and color those. But then I remembered I have paper with shoes on it. And I thought that's kind of amazing. And it's masculine, which will be good, you know, for some of the boys and stuff. And look at this paper. I'm a little bit obsessed with this shoe and this shoe. Most of these are, you know, cut off, but I love that shoe. So what I'm thinking is, there's also these great pieces of paper. Now, my dad passed away a year ago. I do have a lot of Father's Days to do between now and then, so I can use some of this paper, but I have 2 of every sheet, and so I probably won't use all of it. So I'm thinking of cutting this to use these hearts on this card. I love that. I do need a background of a dark something that I need to find. I have this, but it's not quite big enough. And I don't know if I want to make that much smaller. So I'll probably find something else, one of these other colors. So I'm going to cut that. I'm going to fussy cut this shoe out and then stamp the Walk in Love. So I'm going to speed up the video from here so that you don't have to see me do all the measuring and all the boring stuff. All right, so here we go. I'm going to cut this bigger than I need it because I just am going to evenly cut out those 2 cut aparts. And then I'll have a scrap and I'll make use of that scrap at the end. So now I just need to find a mat, and I pull out my scrap folders, which you can't see, they're a little bit off screen. That one's not quite right. And then I look in, I think, teal. I'm not finding the right size. And then I'm like, oh heck, I have this whole box sitting here of 4x6 cards, and I found the perfect color. So here I'm measuring, and I'm going in just 1/8 of an inch from the measurement of the A2 card, so that I just get a 1/16 of an inch tiny, tiny white border around it. And then for the next piece of paper, I decide I'm gonna just go over that seam one more time. The next piece of paper, I will go in 1/4 of an inch. So 1/4 of an inch smaller than the green paper. This is why sometimes it's helpful to just use the dies, and then you don't have to do the measuring. But I didn't need the dies on this one. I think I'm going to ink this one. I'm going to pull out some brown ink. that's what I'm going to stamp with. This is the VersaFine Clair, but I don't use that for the edges. I usually use my Distress Oxide for edges. So I'm just trying to clear some space and find my daubers. And that's just to give this a little dimension, a little finish on the edges. I do not do that to all of the components, though I could have. I did think about it and I just decided I didn't need to. So I'm pretty risky here, and I'm just going to hand stamp it, not using my platform. But it comes out perfectly. Then I was trying to decide, how do I want to cut it, and I decided I'm just going to cut it into a square. So first I'm going to just fussy cut this shoe. And I do leave a pretty big halo around the shoe. And it didn't take long to fussy cut. And my favorite fussy cutting scissors are these Fisker spring loaded, I guess kind of snippers. They're not super huge. They're great for fussy cutting. They have a nice pointy tip, and they don't cramp your fingers when you're doing a lot. You can really get them to sit in the palm of your hand pretty well. So this one, I'm going to get my Creative Memories guillotine trimmer. I'm just checking that to see if I can mat it on that, which I can't. It's not quite big enough. So I'm just going to cut it into a square first. Leave a little bit of space around the words. I'm not looking to make it teeny tiny. I am trying to make sure I get it pretty squared up. And then I'm going to take my corner chomper, which is a crocodile corner chomper, and do the ticket corner on it. So I'm liking that. And then I'm going to take this other little piece of cardstock that I had that's real close in color to the other piece of paper that I used. And we're going to glue that down and just create a mat. If I were super brave, I would have used scissors to cut that out, but I'm not that brave. I don't think I cut that straight to make that look super straight. And I'm just doing some trimming to, when you're using this corner chomper, it's really important that you have the same width mat all the way around. Otherwise it looks a little funny because the corners go a little off. All right, so now it's just time to assemble. Using my art glitter glue, get everything stuck down. Here I need to get that pretty square since I have such a small border around it. And then I'm going to use some 1mm foam strips here. I don't need a ton of dimension, but a little bit will do. So I'm going to stick the sentiment straight down and the shoe on top of it. And then I decide maybe just one finishing touch, and I pull out my copper Nouveau drops. They're kind of a dark copper.
oh, this is, I'm looking for what can I put on the inside of the card. I've got these little scraps sitting on my desk, and I decide that I'm going to use that little strip just as a surprise on the inside of the card. Then I stick it down and I realize, oh, I didn't ink it. So rip it back up real quick, ink it, re-glue it, and stick it back down. And that makes for a nice little surprise on the inside of the card. And then we're going to do some Nuvo drops and then take a close-up look. So please give this video a thumbs up, you guys. I am traveling at the moment, so I'm not posting as often as I normally do, but I'll be back shortly and get some more videos posted. Thanks a lot.